the president out on the campaign trail, holding all of these rallies, sort of shadow boxing with the Democrats. And when you listen to him at these rallies, Chris, he seems downright delighted about what played out in Las Vegas, doesn't he? In that debate.
Oh, absolutely. And he should. Look, what does he want? He wants disarray in the Democratic Party. We sure saw that. I think that if there was anybody that the Trump campaign was afraid of, it was Michael Bloomberg with this unlimited amount of money. He could actually have more money in a campaign than Donald Trump. But Michael Bloomberg was a flop in the first debate. Doesn't mean it's over. He's going to have a second chance next week in another debate in South Carolina. But if he were to do as badly as he did in Nevada, in South Carolina next Tuesday, I think he could spend any amount of money in the world and he wouldn't be the Democratic nominee. Now, Republicans are salivating at the prospect of Bernie Sanders, a Democratic socialist, as the Democratic nominee. I would simply caution them. I remember an awful lot of Democrats very excited at the prospect of Donald Trump as the Republican nominee in 2016. That didn't work out too well.
Exactly. Interesting that you talk about Sanders. This from the Hill newspaper. Rivals worry Sanders building insurmountable Super Tuesday lead. Senator Bernie Sanders' rivals are sounding the alarm over his growing strength and warning he could effectively secure the presidential nomination on Super Tuesday if Democrats don't quickly align behind an alternative. Chris, one of their big challenges is this so-called moderate lane is filled up with everybody from former Vice President Joe Biden to Pete Buttigieg, who you've talked to on your program many times, and Amy Klobuchar, who did better than expected in New Hampshire. And all of them are saying they're hanging in through Super Tuesday, at least they're hoping to, and they're not getting out.
Yeah, there's a big structural problem in terms of this for the Democrats. The Republicans have a lot of winner-take-all primaries, so you could be behind, but you win a state or two, a particularly big state with a lot of delegates, you can catch up. The problem for the Democratic race is they do it by proportional representation. So, let's say Sanders had 35% of the votes and somebody had 25%. And as you say, it could be split up in the moderate lane because you got Biden and Bloomberg, let's not count him out, and Buttigieg and Klobuchar. Once Sanders gets a lead, if he does get a lead, and there's some talk, some prospect that he could have a lead of 100 or 200 or even 300 delegates after Super Tuesday, it's almost impossible to make that up. We saw it with Barack Obama over Hillary Clinton in 2008. We saw it with Hillary Clinton over Bernie Sanders in 2016. Sanders gets a lead of a couple of hundred delegates. It can be very hard, even if the other Democrats clear out, for them to make up that kind of margin.
Final question. He could have, though, a plurality, as you know, but not an actual majority. And then Milwaukee gets a lot more interesting at the convention.
Well, look, for those of us political junkies who have wanted to see a contested convention in our lifetime, I mean, this was a common thing in the past. There was one convention where I think there were 100 ballots, 100 separate ballots by delegates. I'm not asking for that. I'd just like to see 2 or 3 ballots. But we haven't had it since the 1950s, since the 1952 Republican convention where Eisenhower beat Taft. It would just be great. And the interesting thing is, last question they were asked on the stage on Wednesday night in that debate. If somebody has a plurality, which means they have more than the others, but they don't have the 1991 majority, should they be the nominee? 5 candidates said no. 1 candidate, Bernie Sanders, who thinks he's going to have that plurality, he said, oh, absolutely. You have the most delegates. You should get the nomination.
He wants to take it and run opposite of what he was saying in 2016 when he was in second place. Chris Wallace will be watching you this Sunday. We appreciate you coming in.
Thanks, Ed.